Today we got the latest national primary Democratic poll since former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg's announcement, and well, he's got a ways to go. Coming in at 3% with a margin of error of 3.2%. Bloomberg, of course, has a lot of name recognition and a lot of money. He also has, according to a new Morning Consult poll, the most unfavorable rating of any candidate in the race. His blend of being conservative, relatively on economic issues, and liberal on social ones seems to be the least represented part of American politics among actual voters, but the most represented among super elite people like Mike Bloomberg. To talk about what his entrance into the race means, I'm joined by Michelle Goldberg, columnist for The New York Times. Is there a constituency in the Democratic primary for Michael Bloomberg?
No, but there's a constituency. I mean, who knows? But not that I have seen in any polling or really, like you said, in any research about what the electorate actually looks like, right? When people survey the electorate along two different quadrants, the conservatism on economics and conservatism on social issues, the least populated quadrant is, economically conservative, socially liberal, even though there's a ton of people like that in New York City, in Washington, D.C., in other places where elite rich people gather, which I think gives them a false impression that that's kind of the median voter position.
Yeah, it's like actually the other quadrant, which is like real hostile or worried about immigrants and also pro-universal health care.
Right.
That is in some ways like the least represented one, and also the one that Donald Trump helped to
and I think
into.
That, I don't know if you even remember this, but you and I did an event like a long time ago, maybe 10 years ago, where we were talking about how, yes, the terrifying person who could kind of come along in American politics would be the person who is economically progressive but socially reactionary. And Donald Trump, I think, hasn't actually been economically progressive in practice, but that's what he promised people, right? He promised people great health care. He promised them no cuts to entitlements.
Trade deals, right.
Yeah, and so, I don't know, the Bloomberg thing is so bizarre to me because these are obviously intelligent people. He can obviously afford decent polling, but it's just where that comes from, especially for somebody who, I think you were there. I was there in 2004 at the Republican National Convention when Michael Bloomberg endorsed George W. Bush. Right? That goes in any commercial if he becomes a serious contender.
In fact, let's play him doing that at the 2004 RNC convention in New York. Take a listen.
I want to thank President Bush for supporting New York City in changing the Homeland Security funding formula and for leading the global war on terrorism. The president deserves our support. We are here to support him. And I am here to support him.
Torture, Abu Ghraib, war crimes, Guantanamo, hundreds of thousands of dead Iraqis, 5,000 dead Americans in Iraq, tens of thousands wounded, the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression, a city that drowned. That's just the quick on George Bush. That's what Michael Bloomberg pushed for right there.
But there's actually no, there are certain parts of Michael Bloomberg's agenda, around climate change, around guns, that I suppose have some reach, although he's not necessarily better on those issues than any of the other candidates who are running.
That's the other thing, right? Like, what makes those interesting is those against the rest of his ideological profile.
Right.
But they're not specifically dynamic or interesting against other people.
Let's say you want a billionaire who's done a bunch on climate change. You've already got Tom Steyer in the race. Yeah. And so, again, I think his entry is interesting in that it's a sign of elite panic about the field, which is itself concerning.
Yeah.
But it is, again, it's almost hallucinatory, and it's especially hallucinatory from people who discount Bernie Sanders' chances. Bernie Sanders is far more electable in the United States of America than Michael Bloomberg.
Michelle Goldberg, thank you for joining us. Still ahead, the Trump administration's assault